The strangest thing I've ever seen happened on a completely normal night. No storm, no strange lights in the sky, nothing that would make you think something impossible was about to happen. Just a quiet street and a man walking ahead of me. And then he vanished. Not slowly, not behind a corner. He simply disappeared, right in front of my eyes. And the worst part, I couldn't react. It was around 11:40 p.m. when it happened. Had just finished a late shift at work and decided to walk home instead of taking a cab. The streets were mostly empty. Streetlights cast long shadows across the pavement, and the air had that cold, quiet feeling that only happens late at night. I noticed the man about 50 feet ahead of me. He was walking in the same direction. Normal pace, normal clothes, dark jacket, jeans, nothing unusual. For a while I didn't think about him at all. People walk the same streets all the time. But after a minute, something strange caught my attention. His footsteps, or rather, the lack of them. The street was silent, and yet I couldn't hear a single step from him. At first I thought maybe the wind was masking the sound. But then I realized something else. The street was so quiet that I could clearly hear my own footsteps echoing. Yet his made no sound at all. That's when I started paying closer attention. The man never looked back, never checked his phone, never changed his pace. He just kept walking forward, like he was following an invisible path. And the distance between us never changed. No matter how fast or slow I walked, he stayed exactly the same distance ahead, about 50 feet, almost like he knew where I was. We reached the end of the street. There was a long sidewalk leading past a small park. The trees there block most of the light from the street lamps. It gets darker than the rest of the area. The man walked straight into that darker section. I followed a few seconds later, and that's when it happened. The moment I stepped under the trees, the man disappeared. At first I thought he turned into the park, so I looked to the left. Nothing. Then I checked the sidewalk ahead. Empty. No footsteps. No shadow. Nothing. The street continued for another 100 meters. There were no alleys. No buildings close enough to hide behind. No cars parked nearby. There was nowhere he could have gone. And yet, he was gone. I stood there trying to process what I had just seen. Maybe I blinked and missed something. Maybe he ran. Maybe he turned somewhere I didn't notice. But none of those explanations made sense, because I had been looking directly at him. There was no moment where I lost sight of him. He was there 1 second, and gone the next. That's when I noticed something even stranger. The temperature suddenly dropped. The air felt colder than before, and the silence around me felt heavier. You know that feeling when the world suddenly seems too quiet? That kind of quiet. I started walking again, a little faster this time, trying to convince myself it was nothing. But about halfway down the street, I heard footsteps behind me. They were slow, steady, exactly the same rhythm as mine. Step, step, step. At first I thought someone else had entered the street, but when I turned around, there was no one there. Just the empty sidewalk behind me, and the park. Completely silent. I told myself I was imagining things. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me after what I saw earlier, so I kept walking. But after a few seconds, the footsteps returned. Step, 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 right behind me, matching my pace perfectly. And every time I turned around, nothing. By the time I reached my apartment building, my heart was racing. I unlocked the door quickly and stepped inside. The hallway lights buzzed softly above me. For the first time in 10 minutes, I finally felt safe. But then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The hallway floor was slightly dusty, and there were 2 sets of footprints leading toward the stairs. Mine and someone else's. The second set of footprints looked fresh, exactly the same size as the man's shoes from earlier. They stopped halfway down the hallway, like whoever made them had just vanished again. Right there, in the middle of the building. I'd barely slept that night, but the next morning, I decided to check the security cameras outside. I asked the building manager if I could see the footage. He pulled it up on his computer. The camera showed the street clearly, and there I was, walking down the sidewalk, exactly like I remembered. But something in the footage made my skin crawl. because the camera never showed another person. The entire time, I was walking alone. There was no man ahead of me, no one disappearing. Nothing, just me, walking down an empty street. But the part that really scared me happened near the park, right where I said the man vanished. In the video, I suddenly stopped walking. For about 3 seconds, like I was staring at something in front of me. Then I slowly turned around and started walking faster. But the creepiest detail, while I was standing there, my shadow on the ground was moving, even though I wasn't. I don't walk that street anymore. And sometimes I still wonder what really happened that night. But here's the thing that bothers me the most. If the man was never there, then what exactly was I following? And why did it disappear the moment I stepped into the dark? So now I want to ask you something. If you saw someone vanish right in front of you, would you try to find them? Or would you run the other way? Because I'm starting to think something wanted me to follow it that night.